Hey everyone, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com, and today we're going to take a look at a big synth collection from UVI, the Vintage Vault 3, which actually happens to be on sale through January 17th, 2021. So if you're watching this video when it first comes out, you got a few days to catch this thing on sale, and it's a great value on sale. Even when it's not on sale, it's a great collection of synths and drum machines and all kinds of stuff. We're going to be taking a look at this from the perspective of somebody who's not a huge synth programmer or a synth person, but somebody who's a producer or mixer looking to put these types of sounds into their productions and how easy it is to incorporate these kinds of sounds into the production. So we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of programming synths and every single control of everything included. First of all, that's a little bit more in depth than I want to get into. And second of all, that would take hours upon hours because there's so much here. We're just going to quickly go through everything that's included in this collection, hear a few of the sounds, and see if you like how they might sound in your productions. I want to give a big thank you to UVI for providing me with a copy of Vintage Vault 3 to take a look at today. Let's get right to it with the first one, which is Beatbox Anthology 2, which is really just a massive collection of drum machines ranging from 60s prototypes to modern classics. There's over 200 kits, 11,000 samples. It also includes extensive editing and beat sequence capability. So if I take a look over here at the sequencer, you can put patterns right in there. You've got built-in effects, delays, a bit crusher if you want to engage it, reverbs, and an EQ. And this one also includes a multi-out version, so you can actually have stereo outs of kick and snare and cymbals and whatever elements are included in your drum beats. So let's take a look at just what's included here with a few presets. The first preset that you bring up here is right here. You can see that drum brute, and I'm going to play a couple notes. Typical drum machine sounds. So I'm going to pick a different preset. Let's go to some of the classics here. I'm going to jump down to classic R8K. So I'm going to jump to our sequencer here and just play some of the beats we have. I'll pick another classic kit, jump down to an 808. There it is. We can make it completely dry if we wanted to. And pick another classic one. Let's go to a 909 if they got it. Of course they do. There it is right there. Also included are a bunch of other presets, some digital drum machines here. I'll pick one of these. Some loops, some fills. Here's a simple fill, just a one-note fill with a bunch of effects. Sort of big impact hits. So nice little elements you can throw in a production right there. The next item we'll look at is the first synth in Vintage Vault 3, and many of the synths share a lot of elements. They have extensive editing, effects included, an arpeggiator. Some have sequencing capabilities. You can see our effects right here, the arpeggiator right there, which we can turn on with that button. We'll stick with this edit window at first. So this is Cameo CM based upon the Casio CZ series of synths. It actually comes with 3 plugins. We've got this one, Cameo CM. If I go over to the browser, Cameo CX and Cameo CZ. CZ is actually based upon the original. So if I pick this one, pick some chords here, this is going to get you back to the original Casio keyboard. So let's just check out a couple of the sounds we have here from Cameo CZ. The next synth we're going to look at is called CSM, based upon the sounds of the Yamaha CS70M, CS40M, CS20M, and the CS01 analog synths built by Yamaha in the late 70s and early 80s. This is our first opening preset, what you default to. Let's check this one out. Pick another preset here, diode power. Picking a few different presets. Some great sounds there. Jump down a bit. Now we're going to look at a more pad sound. for another pad sound. Urban bed. So just some fantastic sounds in that one. Really nice. The next synth we're going to look at is called the Darklight IIX, inspired by the Fairlight CMI 2X workstation, a really expensive 80s machine that was used by artists like Michael Jackson, Peter Gabriel, and David Bowie, among others. This includes a synth, a drum machine with a built-in sequencer, and a multi-phaser step sequencer. Let's just take a look at some of the sounds this one has. This is a string sound. And that retro 80s computer screen is really cool. Let's go to another one. Different sound here. Pad ensemble. Let's go to an orchestral hit. Some really cool sort of lo-fi sounds there. The next synths we're going to look at are actually part of two collections here. We've got Digital Synsations and Digital Synsations Volume 2. They're based upon digital synths of the late 80s and early 90s. Volume 1 includes 4 instruments, DS1, DS77, DS90S, and the DSX. Volume 2 includes 4 more based upon synths from Roland, Yamaha, Korg, and Sonic and Kawai, all late 80s, early 90s synths. I'll just pick one of these, that 90S. We'll go through a bell patch here. My Little Bell. Let's try this one out. Very cool sounds. Let's do one more patch here. Some very cool sounds. The next is kind of like another package collection here. We've got Emulation 1, Emulation 2, and Drumulation. And these are based upon classic Emulator 2 samplers from the 80s, including that bonus drum sampler. It's kind of like that sound of 80s nostalgia. So we'll go with Emulation 1, and we'll pick some synth sounds here. All right, let's see what we do with the lead part. We'll go with the string part again, now more of a pad sound. I'll go for a woodwind sound. And again, this is Emulation 1, Emulation 2, and a drum part to it. The next synth we're going to look at is called Energy, based upon a rare additive synth first released in 1982, the DK Synergy. This is really the sound of the original Tron soundtrack. With less than 1,000 units produced and very few surviving to this day, the hardware version of this 32 oscillator synth is super rare. Let's check it out. This is a bell sound. Go to a different sound, keyboard sound here. The next collection we're going to look at here is called FM Suite. It's a collection of 5 FM synthesis units covering the history of vintage FM synths. Yamaha DX7 fans should check this one out. Let's pick one of these in the collection here. We'll go with the FMX1 XL. We'll go for a lead part here for this one. Let's check it out. Go to a totally different lead part here. check out a bass part. Yeah, some really different and very cool sounds in this collection as well. Next, we've got the JP Legacy collection of 4th synths, the Saturn IV, Saturn VI, Saturn VIII, the one you see on the screen, and the Mercury 80 based upon the Roland, Jupiter 4, 6, 8, and MKS 80, respectively. Let's go to a pad sound here on Saturn VIII. Different pad sound here for chords. Go to a lead sound. Different lead sound here. The next one we're going to look at is the Kroma, which includes an emulation of the Rhodes Chrome, first released in 1982, and the dual-layer Polar X synth based upon the Polaris. We're going to go with the Kroma here first. Let's go to a bell part here. Christmas bells is the preset we'll pull up. Let's do a string sound here, kind of on a pad part. And we'll pick one bass part to listen to for this synth. The next one's one of the oldest in the collection, based upon a classic mellotron. Mellotrons were basically tape loops for each key, famously used by the Beatles. Most of us know the sound of this from Strawberry Fields Forever. Here is just a sample of the mellotron sound. That famous flute sound from that mellotron. So the next collection we're going to look at is the OB Legacy, 6 Oberheim-based synths covering the late 70s to the present day. We have the 612 M6K, UV1, UVXXX, UVSR-2, and XP12. Let's take a look at the UVXXX. This is our basic sound we get right off of it, a saw sound. And we'll go through some of the other sounds we have here. Let's go for a brass sound here. Now we'll go for a pad. The next synth in the collection we're going to look at is the PX Apollo, based upon a rare synth prototype from the early 70s, the Moog Apollo. Here's our just initial sound. We'll go for a brass sound here. A bass part now. And a pad. Very cool sounds in that one. I like that one a lot. The next synth we're going to look at is the PX-P10, based upon the ultra-rare Prophet 10, basically the sound of 2 Prophet 5s put together. Here's a lead sound. Now we'll go for more of a pad sound. That's really lush sounding, very nice. Next in the collection, we've got the PXV8, based upon a rare Voyatra 8 released by Octave Plateau Electronics in 1982. This polyphonic synth has huge analog sounds. We'll start with a pad right off the bat. Here's a different pad sound. Just a couple examples of what this synth can do. Next, we're going to look at String Machines 2, which is another kind of big collection within the collection here. This includes 60 string synths from the last 50 years. 355 different presets covering over 46,000 samples. It's got a dual layer setup here where you have two machines that you can kind of put together with each other. It includes classics like the Solina, the Freeman String Symphonizer, the Elka Rhapsody, the Yamaha SK50D, and many, many more. So let's hear what this sounds like right off the bat with kind of a pad sound. Let's go for another classic string sound here. And we'll go for one more kind of melodic lead sound. The next synth in the collection we're going to look at is the Synthox 1.5, based upon the rare Elka EK44 FM synth, and we'll go with a pad sound right off the bat. We'll go with poly synth here, filtered brass. Now we'll check out a bass sound. The next synth we're going to look at is the Beast, based upon the computer-based digital workstation New England Digital Synclavier. Literally a beast of a unit using a large rack-mount computer, a controller, some hardware and software modules. This combines additive and FM synthesis along with sampling. And first we're going to look at a bass sound in the Beast. Now we'll check out a lead sound. And now more of a pad sound. The next in the collection is the U1250, based upon the Kurzweil K250 and K1000, featuring early digital sampling from the late 80s and early 90s. We'll go with a fat analog pad preset here first to see what this unit is capable of. That's a great sound. We'll check out a bass part. This is jazz acoustic bass. Check out a trumpet sound here. Very different but very unique sounds in this one. Next, we're going to look at the Ultramini, based upon the classic Mini Moog, both a 1971 Model D and a 2011 Voyager XL. Let's try a lead part here. That's just its basic sound there. Now we'll check it out on a pad. Another pad sound. One more pad. Now we're going to take a look at the USQ1 based upon the Ensoniq ESQ1, first released in 1986, an 8-voice multi-timbral digital analog hybrid synth. Let's check out a pad first. Another pad sound. We'll go with the bass part. We'll try a plucked part now for the lead. Now we're going to take a look at the UVS 3200, inspired by the rare 48-voice Korg PS 3200 from the late 70s. We'll go with a bass part first. Now a pad. And a lead part. Now we're going to look at the UVX 3P, inspired by the Roland JX 3P analog synth from 1983. This one's been sampled both with and without chorus. We're going to check out a bass sound first. Now more of a lead sound. And now kind of a string pad sound. This next one, the UVX 10P, was also sampled with and without chorus. It's based on Roland's JX10, JX8P, and MKS70 from the late 80s. We'll start with the bass sound on this one. Now pad sound. Now we'll check out a lead. And now we've got the UVX 80 based upon an Akai 8X80 8-voice analog synth. We'll check out a bass part first. Now a pad. We'll go for a second pad sound. And now a brass lead. The next synth up is the UVX 670, based upon an Akai VX600 and AX73, both of them being 6-voice analog polysynths. We'll go with a pad sound off the bat for this one, see what it sounds like. Now a lead sound. bass. Now we've got to look at the Vector Pro VS, based upon a sequential profit machine, a vector synthesis machine from 1986, and we'll start right off the bat with a bass sound. Now a pad sound from this synth. And a lead sound. And the final synth in the Vintage Vault 3 collection we're going to look at is Wave Runner, which is another collection within a collection of 7 instruments covering 30 years of wavetable synthesis, inspired by units like the PPG Wave 2, Wave 2.2, Wave 2.3, the Wave Term, the Waldorf Microwave XT, and many more. Here are the 7 instruments we have included here. I'm going to pick Wave Runner X, and we'll start with a bass sound from Wave Runner X. Now pad sound. And a lead sound. So there we have it, all of the included synths within Vintage Vault 3. Even within each individual synth, there's a ton of great sounds. We're just barely scratching the surface. We're looking at presets. We haven't gone into any of the other synth controls. You can create all different sounds no matter what kind of genre you're working in. And this collection is a huge bargain at the amount of stuff you're getting, the amount of different synths and percussion sounds, great pads, great leads, brass sounds, string sounds. Just a great collection overall. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already so we can keep you in the loop as to what's coming up next, and I'll see you in the next one.